Good morning, guys. I hope you had a great weekend and you're looking forward to a very sunny week. It looks like it's going to be beautiful. So make the most of that. Grab an ice cream and get outside if you can. Right, we are on to chapter 7 of The Umbrella Mouse. Chapter 7 is called The Crooks, and this is about the third time I've tried to film this. So if I get tongue-tied this time, let's just go with me, okay? The umbrella turned many feathered and furry heads as it travelled above the crowd with the young mice trotting after it, trying to keep up with the rat and the sparrow ahead of them. Leaving the safety of the market far behind, the nervous flutter in Pip's chest quickly grew to a drumming thud of dread as they reached a dark corner where no other creature roamed. "You're talking absolute rubbish," Dot scoffed, gleefully bickering with her brother. "You couldn't even pull off a magic trick to fool a blind mouse." "I could," Joe scowled, with his fur standing on end. "Not even a deaf, dumb and blind mouse." "All right then, when we get back, I'll show you." "I bet you can't, but I can. Bet you can't, but I can." "What do you think, Pip? Wouldn't he be the worst magician in the world?" Pip's ears cocked on her head, but she wasn't listening. The rat and the sparrow were leading them and the umbrella towards a small shadowy opening in a brick wall, similar to the one she and Dickon had used to enter St. Giles. But this one had green moss and black slime glistening around its edges and the sound of water trickling nearby. "Stop!" Pip said firmly, hurrying ahead of Dot and Joe so she was walking briskly alongside the strangers. "Where are you taking us and my umbrella?" "It's not far, mate," the rat said nonchalantly, without turning his head. Pause to show you our lovely illustration. He quickened his pace along with the sparrow. "Just around this corner and we'll settle everything. Don't you worry. Everybody does it when they arrive." "Don't be such a worry guts," Joe said. "The sooner we get this over and done with, the sooner we'll get back to the market." "I suggest you lot hurry up," the sparrow said loudly. "Gets busy up there when them bombs come crashing." The strangers scuttled forward and vanished through the opening in the wall. The young mice broke into a run behind them and swiftly climbed through into an enormous underground sewer canal. It smelt of musty laundry and was enveloped by a gloomy domed brick tunnel. A wide expanse of black water, with no beginning and no end, rushed below the narrow ledge they found themselves on. The umbrella was dropped to the ground, where it smacked against the concrete. The clatter echoed along the tunnel, as if the bricks were laughing at them. "First things first," the sparrow said, turning to loom over Pip with its sharp ebony beak glinting in the gloom. "You owe us arrival and insurance tax." "What?" Pip said, staring fearfully at the umbrella lying so close to the water. "Every bin pays it," the rat said with a sneer. The mice slipped nervously at his long yellow teeth and drew closer to each other. "It's the law in St. Giles." "But we don't have any money." "Prove it." The mice glanced at one another nervously and held out their empty paws. Shaking their heads with disapproval, the strangers tut-tutted and stepped towards them with a jeering snarl. "They'll lock you up and throw away the key. You'll never see the light of day again." The mice stepped backwards, looking desperately over their shoulders for a place to run, but the rat and sparrow encircled them, licking their lips like wolves pacing around their prey. "Your punishment is simple. Your umbrella is forfeit," the rat said with a menacing smile. His eyes pored over the umbrella's silver handle and its gold inlay carvings, both flickering in the gloom. "Now scram, you pesky little varmints," he said, snarling at the mice, "or we'll rip you into little pieces." "No," Pip snapped, defiantly scowling into the rat's empty black eyes. But inside she felt more frightened than ever, and she held her arms tightly by her sides to control her trembling limbs. She was an umbrella mouse, and she wasn't letting anyone take her home, her history, and her last piece of Mama and Papa. It was all she had left. Dot and Joe shivered with fear beside her, and began carefully edging away from the rat and the sparrow, who were baring their teeth at Pip like wild animals about to pounce on their prey. "What did you just say?" the sparrow said, feathers ruffling furiously all over its body. "Careful, mate," the rat growled. "St. Giles can be a very dangerous place, especially for littluns." Pip stood up on her tiptoes and glared into the sparrow's cold black eyes. "I said no!" Instantly, the rat snapped its claws around her neck and lifted her off the ground. Seeing their chance for escape, Joe snatched Dot's paws in his, and they bolted back towards the market, vanishing into the gloom like spectres in shadows. Gasping desperately for air, Pip thrashed wildly in the rat's grasp and managed to free herself. She dropped to the ground on all fours, breathless, and dashed to the umbrella at once. She guarded it, feeling the fur along her spine bristle with terror and fear. "You wriggly little blighter," the rat said in astonishment. "Look at her," the sparrow sniggered. "Do you really think a little mouse like you can stop us taking what we want?" "I'll never let you take my umbrella away from me," Pip growled. "You stay away from us." "We'll see about that," the rat said, stalking forward beside the sparrow and curling its lips along its long yellow teeth in a snarl. Holding her breath, Pip clenched her paws into fists. It was then that a great flash of fur burst headlong into the fray. A fearful growl sounded, the sounds of a scuffle, then a splash, closely followed by a second. Pip watched the rat and sparrow caught in the swirl of the water, desperately scrapping with one another as they struggled to keep their heads above the fetid surface. Gasping, they bobbed and ducked under the inky black water, swallowing them whole. Suddenly, the tunnel was quiet, save for the sounds of the underground river flowing into the gloom. "You all right?" Dickon asked, rushing to Pip and affectionately touching his furry forehead to her own with relief. "Yes," Pip said, wobbling to her hind paws, trying to ignore the fear still pulsing through her little body. "I think I'm okay." "You ninny," he growled, gently cuffing the back of her ears. Wincing, she hung her head in shame. "Where are your mates? I told them to stay with you and not leave the tea stall. You're lucky those crooks didn't skin you alive." "What friends? They ran away to save their own skins, just like they've done before. And what was I supposed to do?" she snapped. She felt stupid enough without Dickon telling her off. "That rat and sparrow told me you lied about Mr. King and your Jack to get me to come to St. Giles." "What?" Dickon said, his ears drooping on his head. "They said I was in trouble for not signing a form telling them I was an orphan and I'd have to pay a fine. They told me that you weren't coming back for me and that they were going to help me instead." She paused, feeling her chest swell with anger. "How was I supposed to know they were going to trick me? I don't know this place and I don't know you. How do I know that you won't try and hurt me too, or steal the umbrella as well, or run away to save your own skin? I should never have come here with you." "Shh, Pip," he said softly, sitting on his haunches and drawing her close to him with his paw. She buried her face in his soft belly fur and whimpered. "It's all right, love. You're safe now. There are real friends in this world, and then there are those that hurt you after they seem to be on your side. They're there to teach us who to trust and when to stand alone, and it ain't an easy lesson to learn, but I promise you, I'm your mate. I always will be, and I'm sorry. I never should have left you like I did." At that moment, Pip's insides leaped with surprise as she felt a warm, bony paw rest heavily on her shoulder. "Worry not, little one," said a voice that she knew was not from Britain. "Without mistakes, your life will never know adventure." Comforted by his words, she looked up to meet his gaze, but at once she turned her eyes away with a shiver. The rat was tall and lean, with rich dark fur. His ears were scratched to ribbons, and jagged scars were torn across his face and body. "Pip, this is Hans," Dickon said, reading the fear in Pip's eyes. "He's German, but you can trust him. He's on our side, and he's fought bravely for the Allied cause." "Introductions can wait," Hans said, his eyes gleaming in the shadows. "Where there's one crook, there are many, and I don't intend to be here when they come scavenging for a fight." "Climb up, Pip," Dickon said, standing on four paws and digging his head to the ground with a wag of his tail. "And make sure you get a good hold." She clutched the dog's fur in both front paws and clambered to Dickon's collar, taking a firm grip of his wiry black coat behind his neck. Hans followed, agilely climbing up beside her. Pip shied away, feeling a prickly uneasiness being so close to him. But what happened next made her forget he even existed. Dickon picked up the umbrella in his teeth and cast it into the rushing black water. Dickon's just thrown away her umbrella. Okay, right, we're going to leave it there for now because tomorrow is a very long chapter. So we will pause. Okay, I will see you again tomorrow. I'm not going to attempt a German accent before any of you suggest that because it would be insulting. So it's best for everybody that we stick to a British accent. So you'll just have to imagine that bit, I'm afraid. Right, I will see you again tomorrow for the next instalment. Have a lovely sunny day.